A lot of Republicans are responding to Hillary Clinton's remarks on voting rights. On Thursday, Mrs. Clinton said some Republican presidential candidates were deliberately trying to stop minorities and young people from exercising their right to vote. It could become a key issue for the 2016 campaign. CBS News political director and host of Face the Nation, John Dickerson, sat down with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie for his thoughts. Christie is a possible candidate for the Republican presidential nomination.
Hillary Clinton mentioned you and said you and other Republicans are trying to make it harder for people to vote. What's your reaction to that?
She doesn't know what she's talking about. In New Jersey, we have early voting that are available to people. I don't want to expand it and increase the opportunities for fraud. And maybe that's what Mrs. Clinton wants to do. I don't know. But the fact is that folks in New Jersey have plenty of an opportunity to vote. And maybe, if she took some questions some places and learned some things, maybe she wouldn't make such ridiculous statements.
She says it's fear-mongering, this idea that there's a lot of election fraud going on.
Yeah, well, she's never been to New Jersey, I guess.
So let's talk politics with John Dickerson. John starts his new hosting duties tomorrow on Face the Nation. John, good morning. Welcome and congratulations all in one.
Thank you, and thank you.
So let's talk about Hillary Clinton. A lot of people are saying she's really come out swinging. She is calling Republicans by their name. Do you think that voters respond to this, or is this something that's more for the Washington crowd?
I think voters do respond to it. There's a particular segment of voters that care about it, and that segment is in the Democratic base. African-American voters have long been concerned about efforts to make it harder for them to vote. And also younger voters care about this issue. And so Hillary Clinton is speaking there to a couple of different audiences. And then there is also her larger claim. What she wanted to do is have voting open, registration, basically make registration easier and have voting open for 20 days. This became an issue after the last election that President Obama created a bipartisan commission to look into, which is some way to make it easier on election day because there were these long lines. People were having to wait for hours to vote. So there's a policy plan here that Hillary Clinton was also putting forward.
We heard from Chris Christie, John, but what's been the broader Republican response to this?
Outrage, and because their argument is that these efforts, that there is a lot of voter fraud, and that that's the real problem on election day. Not the access is a problem, but that people are voting who shouldn't be, or the records are not being kept in a way that lets people know that the right people are voting, and so that there needs to be tighter restrictions on voting. And there's also a case that some conservatives make that it's not a bad thing to have it be a little difficult to vote because it means that the people who do vote care enough and therefore presumably have thought through their vote a little bit more.
On the heels of your interview with Chris Christie, where he's as colorful as always, I just want to ask, now that you've seen him interacting with voters, how do they respond to his personality?
They like it. They, particularly in New Hampshire, where he was campaigning, where he was having his town hall that I watched on Thursday night. And that's a familiar pattern in New Hampshire. The voters of New Hampshire like a good town hall. John McCain did very well using that strategy. Lindsey Graham's going to try and do the same thing. They like Christie's bluntness. They don't mind the New Jersey aspect of his character. And if he's going to do well, he's going to probably do well. If he's going to do well, it's going to have to be through that kind of a New Hampshire strategy.
John, we had 3 more candidates enter the race this week. You mentioned Lindsey Graham, the senator, former Texas Governor Rick Perry, and, of course, for the Democrats, former Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee. Can everybody make it to the debates? Is it possible?
No, I mean, they physically can make it. Travel is now part of the modern life, but they won't get in the door because in the first few Republican debates, the limit is 10. And that'll be based on where you are in the polls leading up to the first debate, which is in early August. And right now, what you have is a competition among those candidates who are bunched around numbers 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 to make sure they get in the top 10 to get on that debate stage. So we're going to start to see, and we've already seen a little bit, the incentives. People are trying to get themselves in the news so they can improve their poll standing and actually make it on the debate stage.
John Dickerson, who will be making his debut as moderator of Face the Nation on Sunday. First guest, Rick Perry. So we'll look forward to that. John, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Anthony.
You've already heard part of his interview with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and I mentioned his other guests will be Governor Rick Perry of Texas, former Governor Rick Perry of Texas, an announced candidate for the Republican presidential nomination, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, and House Homeland Security Chairman Michael McCaul, Republican of Texas.